So you're in LA, right? You're in
in
Hollywood,
LA.
right?
Yeah.
So did you always live out there?
No, I came out here. It's been almost 10 years already. So that's a long time. I just did the math the other day. But no, I for just before that I was in New York, and
Okay.
before that I was in Canada, in Toronto. That's where I
Oh,
was brought
wow.
up, and went into the world of entertainment. That's where it started, out in
Okay.
Toronto. So that's the original home.
And did you always know? Were you just this little kid that was running around acting,
Yes.
being, a little bit crazy little
Yes.
girl that was just wanting to let everybody know you were there? I mean, was that you?
That was me. You nailed
Okay.
it.
Yeah. 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 No,
Yeah,
I could see it. Could
I
see it.
definitely had just this bundle of energy, and every time someone looked at me, it would be I would just go up to strangers in the middle of the street and be like, "I like your shirt. I like your shoes." And I know these stories because my mom shared them with me later. I don't remember any of this, but yeah, she told me that I was just always just I didn't have that fear to go up to somebody and just get to know them and give them compliments. And people would always look at me and say, "Are you an actress?" And I was like, I don't know yet. I was little. And when I was 11 years old, that's when I said, you know what? I do want to be on stage. I have way too much energy to be, this is the only thing that makes sense. So let me take that energy and just put on a show.
I love it. I love it. So what was your first show? Like, what did you do? What
Yeah.
was the
So when
first
I was
thing you did?
Yeah, so when I was 11 years old was the first thing that I did. I went to the Living Arts Center in Mississauga, which is right outside of Toronto, and I played the lead in, I don't even remember what it was anymore. I played the lead in something, and all the parents came out, to support their kids. And but it was at the Living Arts Center, and it was on stage, and it was the first thing. So it was exciting. It was exciting. And I
Big
remember
deal.
that feeling. The only thing I remember from that is the feeling of just, I never felt more like myself, being able to just, you know, be in this character, be out of myself and into this character, and entertain and make sure that the person in the last row could hear me. And God knows I'm loud, so it worked. And yeah, and all the parents, stood up and clapped, and I was like, "This is fun." So the acting world, definitely in the beginning of the entertainment business, was something I was just fascinated with, for sure.
And so you go to New York. So was that a part of the journey? All right, let's go to New York. Let's try to do some stuff over there. Is that what happened?
That's what happened. I just packed a U-Haul. I said, I'm going to film school, and I just went to New York. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know how I was going to figure it out, but I just said, there was, for some reason, it wasn't that I didn't love Toronto and everybody in it that I knew. It was just, I felt like I was always fascinated with New York, and I mean, it's the most beautiful place in the world. So, at least in my eyes. And and the minute I got to New York, I never felt more at home. So I knew that was where I was supposed to be. And then I
And
went to the
so
New York Film Academy.
so you went to the academy, and how long is that usually? What's that process? A couple of years, a year, or what is
Yeah,
it?
so there's different programs at the New York Film Academy, but my journey, probably for another day, if we go into the very details of how that whole transition went. I was always just someone that was curious about the business on every capacity of it. I felt like acting was not just one part of it, but there's so many parts in the business that I was interested and curious about, from like the writing to the directing to being behind the camera and capturing that moment to seeing that lighting. Like, everything was just fascinating. Movies, period, were just, since the beginning of days, I was in love with movies, and I still am, and until the day I die will be. It's the one thing you go to, and it's always there. And no matter what you're going through in this world, you know that you can always go and escape and just unwind. And it doesn't matter, rich, poor, whatever your ethnicity is, none of this matters. Everybody, at the end of the day, it's like the one universal language that at the end of the day really does connect everybody. And I feel like everybody's interested in it. I mean, maybe I know some musicians that are like, I don't watch movies, but that's rare. That's rare.
Most everybody watches movies.
That's right.
By the way, I'm like, I love movies, and
Yeah.
and I've always been fascinated by movies, and I think it's an incredible way to to express, and I love that. I love your passion for it, because what I own a financial services company, and what I always tell my agents is that whatever you do in your life, you have to be passionate about it. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Wow.
Success comes after, you got to see it in your mind's eye.
Yep.
You gotta believe it. You got to really believe that it's possible. And then you got to take that massive action
That's
towards
right.
whatever it is that you love,
And
and
you
so
won't take that action if you don't have that passion behind what you're doing.
that's it.
It's never gonna, you're always gonna feel like something's missing if you're not doing what you love.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely. All
it's,
right. So you go to California. When did that happen? And what was that?
mhm.
Why?
So I was in a,
Because you
so
said New York was the most beautiful place in the world. So why did
that's
you come to
right. It's
California?
also very, it was also
Tell
the
us.
most expensive place in the world.
Okay, all right.
And I did a 1 year out of a 2 year, I was in a 1 year out of a 2 year master's program at the New York Film Academy. How I got in there is a whole other story, because I didn't have a film background. I just had acting background, and I took a bunch of different courses in university that I was interested in, compiled those together, went to New York, and I was in a BA program, which was just a 1 year filmmaking program at the New York Film Academy. And I wasn't happy in this class that I was in. So I just felt like I was with younger people, which at the time for me, it didn't, that wasn't the point. It just, I connected with every single person that was in another class, and we were all working on projects together. We were all acting in each other's projects. We were all sleeping over at each other's houses. We became a family. And so one day I went to the dean of the New York Film Academy, Jerry, and I said, look, I don't come from money. I work so hard to get into this school. I work 3 jobs to be here. It's very expensive to be in this school. And I feel like if I'm paying this X amount of money to be here, then I want to choose which class I'm studying in. And I said, I want to study in the master's class with all the kids that are doing their master's in filmmaking. And he looked at me and he was like, I don't see why not. So I transferred over and I did a 1 out of the 2. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. And so I ended up making my first movie in a master's class with people that have already made, 8 to 10 different things. And I was just this like little newbie, but I love the challenge. That was exciting. I was like, let's go. And
So what does it cost to do something
it
like
was
that? I mean,
it was
what's
36,000 a semester.
per semester?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. So
bonkers.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I could only do 1 year, and I
Right.
wasn't, and the second year was in LA, and unfortunately at the time I couldn't afford to do another year. So I ended up trying to figure it out. That's when I picked up my camera and I started shooting for my friends, for actors, for people that needed promo videos. And that's how I just started kind of just figuring things out. And that's when I fell in love with being behind the camera and capturing the moment, and the feedback was coming back, like people were happy. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm doing something right here. So that just stuck with me forever. And then the second year, everybody I knew went to LA, and then I was stuck in New York, and I just said, I got an opportunity actually through my skincare specialist, who I met at like a random, I think it was like Macy's or something. And we just like connected, some random woman. And that random woman is now like one of my best friends. I've known her for 12 years. And her husband is an Academy Award winning editor, out of all things. So we ended up connecting. I ended up coming out here. So that was really like my first friend that I knew out here. I didn't know anybody, like we were friends, but it wasn't like family friends. So it took a little bit of time to like curate all of these relationships once I got out here. But yeah, so that's kind of what brought me out here. It was like, maybe there will be a window of opportunity here for me to maybe work with someone like that. I was just trying to be open to whatever the energy was kind of pushing me towards. And that just made sense at that moment. So and knowing me, I just kind of go with the flow. I don't kind of go against energy. And that's why I just kind of picked up. And again, I moved here. I was like, this is where it all happens. This is where Hollywood is. This is where all the actors are, and who am I? Like at the time I was like just a girl with a dream.
If you like this video and you would like to watch another clip, click right here. If you want to watch the entire podcast, click right here.